Why was magnetic deviation a challenge for polar explorers? Imagine trying to find your way across a vast, icy wilderness with no landmarks in sight. Now add in a compass that doesn't always point where you think it should. That's what early polar explorers faced with magnetic deviation. Magnetic deviation, or magnetic declination, is when a compass needle points toward the magnetic North Pole instead of the true geographic North Pole. The magnetic North Pole is not fixed. It moves over time because of changes deep inside the Earth's molten core. This movement makes it tricky for explorers because the compass readings can become inaccurate during their journeys. In the polar regions, the Earth's magnetic field behaves strangely. The magnetic North Pole is often hundreds of kilometers away from the true North Pole, and it shifts gradually over years. If explorers used a compass without adjusting for this change, they could easily think they were heading north when they were actually off course by many degrees. That might seem small, but in the icy, featureless Arctic or Antarctic, even a few degrees can mean the difference between safety and getting lost. Near the magnetic poles, the compass needle doesn't stay horizontal like it does elsewhere. Instead, it dips vertically because the magnetic field lines are nearly straight up and down. This phenomenon, called magnetic inclination, makes the needle wobble or stick, making readings unstable and hard to interpret. When the needle dips vertically, it becomes difficult to tell which way is north, especially in storms or darkness when celestial navigation isn't an option. Since explorers relied heavily on compasses in the open, icy terrains where landmarks are scarce, magnetic deviation posed a real risk. If they didn't account for the magnetic declination, they could veer off course and become lost in the endless white. Early expeditions, like those led by James Clark Ross or Roald Amundsen, worked hard to map magnetic variations and understand how the magnetic poles moved. They used special magnetic charts and took local measurements to correct their compass readings. But because the magnetic poles kept shifting, they had to keep updating their information, which was a constant challenge. In short, magnetic deviation was a big problem for polar explorers because the compass didn't reliably point to true north. The magnetic poles moved over time, and the magnetic field's vertical inclination near the poles made the needles unstable. These issues made navigating the icy wilderness much more complicated and risky, especially when explorers had no other reliable way to find their way.